right, on the fringes of the right, a conspiracy theory spread, and I won't get into it, but it was about CNN and Robert Mueller, and it spread
that we were tipped off by Mueller.
Sure.
Give me a break.
Right, to embarrass Roger Stone and to record his arrest, so I guess it would embarrass him. It's like they were saying it was propaganda. A lot of people, including some mainstream commentators and journalists, started asking questions about this conspiracy theory. And I think as journalists, we have to be very careful not to allow bad faith actors to hijack the conversation and to move the story away from what it really should be.
Define projection. Here we are again. Hello, and welcome to Pepe News. Once again, we find ourselves at this familiar refrain. Define projection. Last time we used the APA Dictionary of Psychology. This time, let's use Psychodynamic Diagnostic Manual. Quote. Feelings and desires are not seen and admitted in oneself, but excluded from one's own experience and attributed to another. Patients cannot experience for themselves what they find unacceptable thoughts, feelings, desires, impulses, but rather disown them, just as they indignantly recognize them in other people, whom they then regard as clearly and strongly inhibiting them. Now, let's bring in CNN, Tucker, Mueller, and Pepe News Network star reporter even keel British guy. Roll clip.
Right, on the fringes of the right, a conspiracy theory spread, and I won't get into it, but it was about CNN and Robert Mueller, and it spread
that we were tipped off by Mueller.
Sure.
Give me a break.
Right, to embarrass Roger Stone and to record his arrest, so I guess it would embarrass him. It's like they were saying it was propaganda. A lot of people, including some mainstream commentators and journalists, started asking questions about this conspiracy theory. And I think as journalists, we have to be very careful not to allow bad faith actors to hijack the conversation and to move the story away from what it really should be.
Ha 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 ha. So, do we just define CNN as a whole as a giant projection agency? You know, along with being a C_A agent. Hashtag state media. CNN is clearly taking our attention off what is a real area of focus. Robert Mueller. As Tucker Carlson explains. Bit to clarify before we watch the clip. It seems that having CNN broadcast this was part of the plan. Awaken the public, show CNN has been getting leaks, etc. But, in their attempts to cover up, CNN is attempting to distract from a vital issue.
None of the charges had anything to do with Russian collusion or election meddling, but you'd never know that from the penalties he faces. If convicted, Stone could die in prison. Nobody in Washington seems to find that punishment excessive. Many have cheered it.
The left certainly is the party of compassion. Vile creatures.
First, why did the Justice Department stage what was, in effect, a military assault on Roger Stone's house? Stone himself asked that question on ABC over the weekend. Watch.
The idea that a 29-member SWAT team in full tactical gear with assault weapons would surround my house, that I would open the door looking down the barrel of assault weapons, that I would be frog-marched out front, barefooted, and handcuffed when they simply could have
Roger, let me just
contacted me.
Let me
I
stop
think
you
people
there,
need to know about
yeah, but
that.
as you know, it's pretty standard for that to happen.
That's pretty standard, as you know. But is it pretty standard to send dozens of federal agents with rifles to arrest an unarmed 66-year-old man who's been charged with a nonviolent crime? Well, no, it is not standard. It is shocking, and any honest person who pays attention could tell you that. They could simply have called his lawyer and told him to surrender. That's the actual standard in cases like this. Nobody controls Robert Mueller. Mueller can send armed men to your home to roust you from bed at gunpoint just because he feels like it, and there's nothing you or anyone else can do about it. Mueller has an unlimited budget and no timetable. He doesn't have to answer questions. He can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, to whomever he wants. He cannot be fired. Mueller is the single most powerful person in America, and yet nobody voted for him. He is a living rebuke to the principles of our democratic system. At the same time, our leaders tell us that we need Robert Mueller, an all-powerful, unelected prosecutor accountable to no one, to protect us from threats to, brace yourself here, democracy.
Is it obvious yet that those elected officials do not want you, the average citizens, to have any rights or freedoms? Is it not already obvious how much these people despise our Constitution? In fact, Supreme Court Justice RBG told Egypt not to use our constitution as a model. Let that one sink in. This people do not care about you.
Nobody in Washington catches the irony in any of this. Mueller himself is a threat to our democracy, the most powerful man elected by nobody.
I'm sure they catch it. It's more, they hate we the people having freedom.
Our media don't ask questions about any of this or even acknowledge that it is a question. They've chosen sides.
Just sit with this thought, and honestly and openly consider your thoughts around this question. How do you feel about someone you did not elect, appearing, and in the long run that will be the key term, to have unchecked power? The very thing, projection, they claim POTUS will use?
Well, that's 2 videos we have made of the swamp and projection. I wonder how many more we can make. Let's end her for today. For all of you at Pepe News. Good night. God bless. And as always, where we go one, we go all.
Meme montage to play use out.